when y'all did the first podcast, it got better with time. Everything gets better
Yeah.
with time. The more you do something, the better you practice it, the better you are doing it.
Right.
Marriage is the same. Everybody got their own speed.
Yeah.
But it's just what you used to.
Yeah.
And then, when you bring two imperfect people together, different backgrounds, that's where compromise come in. I didn't know how to compromise. I spanked you. I don't.
You ain't spanked us. You whooped him.
I wasn't spanking. But a lot of people say, "Well, God sent me through that." Nah, we sent ourselves through things.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, we make it through things.
Yeah.
We in this thing like Swimwell.
Yeah.
And we're live.
In the yonder, you're done studios.
Right.
Ooh,
Flashlight on.
I know, I'm in here recording. My bad, peoples. My bad.
All right. And we back. And we back.
Not you knowing the theme
And we
song.
back. And we back. And we back. We are back with another episode of the You're Done podcast.
Yeah.
It's your girl, Big Desto, not the little one.
And be more, nevertheless.
Look who it is,
And the
y'all.
long-awaited guest.
You got Darren Wayne the first.
my twin in them is here today.
She got daddy's son. So yeah, we got our dad on because obviously Father's Day is coming up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're gonna have conversations about. Y'all can hear the thunder. Don't worry about that. We're
Yeah.
gonna have conversations. He's gonna give us marriage advice. So I'm recently married. She's been married a long time. He's been married an even longer time. And you've endured both, a whole lot of things. And I'm sure you have too.
Yes.
So really, I'm the one getting the advice, I guess.
Yeah. And y'all, for those,
Free
but
advice.
no matter how long you've been in
Yeah,
a
you never
marriage,
stop learning.
yeah, you never stop learning.
So he's gonna give us advice on the things that he had to go through, and hopefully give us better insight so we don't make the same mistakes or whatever the case may be. Right?
Right? Yes. So where do you want to start, Pops?
From a Christian perspective.
All right.
Okay.
The part of your vows that don't nobody remember is to death do us part.
Mm-hmm.
And God was dead serious with that. Ain't no such thing as irreconcilable differences. It's complicated.
Yeah.
It's to death do your part. Even if you split up, you can't remarry as long as that person's still living.
Right.
From a Christian perspective,
Yeah.
do something else, then you can do something else. But Christians too often want to be like other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we fall. And I wish I would have knew what I know now then.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have the proper upbringing or was given instructions.
And there's
Yeah.
a lot of the
Part
things
is
you didn't
real
see
serious.
being.
Yeah, I learned on the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the job training.
Yeah. No manual, no nothing.
No
Yeah,
nothing.
just
Learn as you go.
Yeah.
So,
Which in my opinion was interesting. This is probably like a little love, but Destiny will follow me because we used to play The Sims a lot, which is a game where you create a house and your family and stuff like that. And for a period of time, I would just like make a mom. I'd be like, well, shoot, she chilling, and I don't think it was until I got older and then you and I started having more conversations that I really understood the male's part in a marriage. Because for the most part, our family is, mom's side is made up of majority women. And you're always just taught to be strong, stand up for yourself. But then on the flip side of that too, you would be like, I got to show you how to hang up curtains because what if somebody ain't there? What if I'm not there to hang up curtains? So I always felt like I really didn't need anybody, which was probably not the point you was trying to give me. Yeah. But I was taking it like I have to learn to stand on my own 2 feet, whether someone is there or not. Yeah. And so I do feel like once I kind of got into relationships, I didn't know how to, when we're talking about from a Christian's perspective, just be a helpmate and be able to step back and still allow him to be the leader because I was always put into the position to be the leader. Yeah, from you and from mom, because I think, like you said, you didn't have a blueprint or a manual. So I think you was just always like, well, if you're not here, that little nigga ain't doing his job. I want to make sure my girls are okay. And so I think it took me I'm still working on that part of, allowing Bree to fully, be in his space, the space that he's supposed to be in.
Playing his role.
Man or woman, we all have value.
Yeah.
The more you bring to the table, the better you are.
Right.
Who wants to be a pretty face? Because you don't know how long that's gonna last.
Yeah.
If that's how you are, then that's how you got.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you gotta
get old, and gray, ugly,
Yeah.
wrinkly. Then what?
Yeah.
What are you bringing to the table? Because I know for myself. I mean, like I said, I ain't been married that long, but even within relationships, period, like you said, I've been in relationships with people, and I'd be like, oh, you know what? I'm not gonna ask you again. I'm either gonna. Then I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna call my daddy, and he's gonna do it. Then they feel like, now they feel less of a man. Well, you should have did it.
Right.
Because my thing is growing up with a father like you, like. If I say, oh, daddy, the TV, something wrong with the TV, or my fan not working, it's going to be fixed. Even if you're doing something, you're going to stop the game. You're going to stop this. It's going to get fixed. Even though it don't get fixed that day, by the time I get back home from school, it's fixed.
Right. We may be missing a blade, but he at Walmart figuring out what blade's supposed to be up there.
So it's just like I've never had to worry about things being fixed. Like you always were that, you always took care of that part. When it came to our family. And even when I was like living by myself, I wasn't even dating nobody in Charlotte. I came home because remember the pantry didn't have like shelves. Daddy went to, I don't know where he went, Home Depot, Lowe's,
right,
somewhere.
Listen,
Girl, I had shelves.
Bob the builder came through.
New apartment, who did? And so it's just like never really having to worry about those things. So I did have, like she said, grow up with that instinct of just like, if I want something done, I'm either gonna find a way to get it done, or I'm gonna call my daddy,
right,
and figure it out. But now I'm with somebody who he finds a way. But I'm also struggling with being like, okay, I'm gonna let you do it.
Right, because sometimes I'd be like, you doing it too slow.
Right, 'cause I've been doing it myself this whole time. So now, even with a partner who takes the initiative to go out and do those things that he needs to do for our family and stuff like that, I'm finding myself to be like, relax this. Let the man do what the man need to do. Yeah. Because I be but what will I be doing it like that?
Right, and why you clean that way?
Yeah, it could be the smallest things, but just allowing that person,
allowing Corey
to, fulfill his role.
Yeah, because there's always different ways to get something accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody got their own speed.
Yeah.
But it's just what you used to. Yeah. And then, when you bring two imperfect people together, two different backgrounds, that's where compromise comes in. Mm. I didn't know how to compromise.
Mm. How you learn?
And then what the world teaches Christians is the woman behind every good man is a good woman. Mm-hmm. God never said behind him. Besides a good man. Every good man should have a woman beside him. Mm-hmm. Not behind him.
Right.
Yeah.
She's not less than. She's the
helpmate.
Like,
yeah.
We got different roles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I've just never fully understood that. But I will say, I think once I got married, I probably was like maybe 3 years in, you and Mom were back together because you came down for Brielle. And I think I started to just kind of witness like how y'all would play off of each other. And then for me, I was just like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to sit and then listen to what it is that you're saying and then allow that to be what it is. I'm like, well, now I feel like I need to talk. Like Brian would say stuff like, well, when I say I'm being a leader and I'm about to do something, it's like I got something to say. But then I'd be like, well, what if you're not doing it all the way right?
So how would you, so being a man, and I feel like most men, they are solution based. They feel like this is the answer, this is how you need to do it exactly like that. But as a woman, sometimes we see things differently and want to be like, hey, I just want to give you, I'm not saying you're doing it completely wrong.
I'm more vocal.
Way, right, it may be a little easier. And I feel like I've had that too. So it's like, as a man, are you open to taking like the woman's
perspective or advice, or
to a certain degree, and then you never been taught that because you always taught you a man, and as a black man, it's even worse because you can't be weak. Why not?
Yeah.
If you're not supposed to cry, why did God give you tears?
Right.
Why? Yeah. You can cry, and you have to know you can be vulnerable. And when people can see that you're vulnerable, then they can see you as more human.
Yeah.
Remember, you told me I never heard you say you was tired, and ever since I've been knowing you.
Yeah.
I say, because I ain't got to say it. If I go to sleep, I just do tired stuff.
Yeah,
Man, I didn't ever think you announced that you was tired. Right?
Yeah.
If you tired, take it out.
Sleep.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing, because I feel like I'm like that. And so Bree is actually, even though he's the introvert in our relationship, he actually is more vocal and just saying like, well, you know, you did this and this made me feel this way. And I used to be looking at him like, I don't got time for that. Like, I was over here cleaning. I did this. I got the kids. Like I know you see me moving and grooving. Right. So clearly I'm busy. And so I'm now having to do that. I'm having to now vocalize what it is that I actually feel. But then I have to come from a place of not being angry about it, because it's some parts of it I have to realize it is me, because if this is just what I do, right? Like but when we talk about you, right, there's certain things that I just expect you to do. Like if I ever go to your house and the yard not cut, I'm thinking he in the ER, y'all. I'm not kidding. Like something's wrong. The man don't live here no more. The man was on crutches. He wasn't supposed to be doing X, Y, Z. Exactly. Knee surgery, and he was still cutting grass. And so for me, I just we've always, I think all of us have just been like action based people. It's like, this is how you keep the house clean. Everybody helps. This is what you do. So even now when we sit and talk about our feelings, I think we still look at each other like, where you going with this? Or like, what is it that you expecting from me? So it's just more like I'm listening to you, but I'm not giving you anything. And so with Bree, I'm having to like slow down and try to meet him there, because then how we run the household makes it better, because he understands where I'm coming from. And then I also understand what he meant versus just watching him do stuff and then assume like, oh, well, you didn't look tired because you got it done. But like you said, you went to sleep. But to me, I'm just like, what? But he cut the grass before he went to, well, I guess I would go to sleep too. But who knows? You probably was tired before you cut the, I don't know. I'm just like, he got a burst of energy. He good to go. And you could have been like, nah, I've been tired since I woke up, went to work, had to drop you off, had to do this. And I just never looked at it that way until I felt like somebody was overlooking me. And now I have to explain that to you. And so that's always hard to do.
But when y'all did the first podcast, it got better with time. Everything gets better with time. The more you do something, the better you practice it, the better you are doing it. Right. Marriage is the same way. But the world, everything ready-made. Yeah. And we got to take our time. Or we tend to look at other people. That's where the 80-20 rule come in. Or when people desire to step out, they may not be getting 100, so they go step out, and that 20 really satisfies them because the other person is pulling the 80. Yeah. And you never stop to think, what if I left the 80? Right. Yeah. Now I'm stuck with the 20.
That's ghetto.
And when I put everything in perspective, and the 20 you missing might be the 20 you need to bring to the table. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
We always think the other ain't 100 for Jesus was the only 100%. Yeah. Right. So while I'm thinking this guy made or this woman gonna give me my 100, I'm getting 80 from your mama. Okay, she doing the 20. But if I would have did the other things, I could have been the 20 and been satisfied and not have to go through what I went through. Yeah. So I always tell people that like a lot of people say, well, God sent me through that. No, we sent ourselves through things. Yeah. By the grace of God, we make it through things. Yeah. Right. But he ain't tell me to go cheat. I told me to go cheat. Yeah. So, and all that the devil made us do it, nah. Yeah. Some stuff you see and you get, in my case, you just get enticed. You can get so enticed to the point you feel entitled. Oh. And that's when sin is readily and too easy for you. Yeah. And then when you understand that you're going to, suffer the consequences, that's when the light bulb came on. Okay. Like, we got money at 3 different banks, we got this, that, and the other, and then the person will say, well, you just getting good with money? No, I always knew numbers. Yeah. I just put the priority. I put it, like, this was she always been wanting. Yeah. Knowing she had financial success. I mean, stability. Yeah. And that I cared. And so it's all about juggling and putting stuff in the proper perspective because everybody got what it takes. Yeah. Because we just said do not be unequally yoked. You could date outside all this. I don't date outside my race. Ain't but one race. That's the human race. Yeah. If you prefer black, that's your business. But as people are people. Yeah. And if we can see each other as that, we can get along better in our relationships, with our kids, and in our jobs. Yeah. But right now we stuck. And we don't even realize we stuck. Or we get together and everybody, men doing their best Denzel, women doing their best Halle Berry. Then after a while, everybody stop acting.
Yeah.
Get back to the basics. Get back doing what you actually was doing to get that person. Because we do things to get your attention.
Yeah.
I think you attract, oh, she look like she like me. But let me show you, like a peacock or the animal kingdom, how they strut.
Oh, yeah.
You putting forth a good effort.
Yeah.
And then when we get each other, we stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to do that.
I've seen that way too often, right?
Yeah.
But no, for real.
Is there anything like within your marriage with mama, obviously, were there anything that y'all did that you made, like, okay, raising 2 daughters, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have a son, but like raising us like in the same house, doing all these things, and it's like, I don't know what it's, I don't have kids, I just got married, like, all this is new to me. So what would you say, like, if I'm trying to, like, I'm navigating life, like, okay, if I go out and have a son, I'm not a man, I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z, so where there's certain things that you and mama had to, like, talk about or have a certain conversation when it came to raising women as opposed to...
Yeah, it takes a village. So her perspective on that area is better than mine. Mm-hmm. So you got to take advice from each other. Right. That's why as a man and a woman should be in the house.
Yeah.
That way when this boy comes, the man got a better perspective, but that don't mean you don't have input.
Yeah.
And then you just raise them together. But you need to raise them to be productive. It don't matter your sex. It's certain. You can't make up the bed because you're a boy. No, you got a room. You slept in that bed.
Yeah.
You slept in that bed. Same thing with a girl. Telling a boy he can't cook. You want to eat? You got to be able to cook.
Yeah.
Have value. That's what. Well, I can sew a hole. I can cook. I can fix stuff. But I'm only known for joking. Everybody just thought I wanted to be funny.
Yeah.
But maybe it was my coping mechanism for the way I grew up, that just being funny helped me to cope with everything.
Yeah.
So if I'm laughing, I'm not having to feel sad about rats and roaches and not having this, not having that.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize, I thought that was me.
Got it.
And then you become that.
Yeah.
After so many years of being funny, I didn't know how not to be funny.
You ain't that funny.
I was about to make it funny. You know, 30-minute special of it, and we'll be right back.
Yeah,
you giving this a little too much credit. You're done.
That's funny. Yeah, I just feel like with marriage. So for me, or for us, we were raised with 2 parents. Y'all were married, right? Mm-hmm. And even despite the time where you two did separate, I feel like I saw 2 people. Like I like some people are raised with just their mom. Some people are like all their lives. So marriage was a thing I was exposed to, right? Yeah. So dang it, here I go. Forgot what I was finna say.
Lord, she be cooking too.
She be cooking.
And then and she don't even go on simmer. She just be burning it.
So remember you said your upbringing and things like that, that wasn't something that you saw firsthand. So what made it to be like, I want to be married and I need to do this? Like you didn't have it shown to you. Like it was just.
I walked around with the book of Psalms, but I thought I had the whole Bible. 6, 7, 8 years old, and I kept reading it. So I always knew it was more to life than my life.
Yeah.
So it was
just Psalms though?
Psalms. I thought I had the whole Bible. They had little bitty books, and it was just the book of Psalms.
Oh.
So maybe Psalms and Proverbs.
Oh, okay.
And I just would read that. And it gave me an anchor.
Yeah.
So I had something to lean on, and I had an inkling of who God was. And I knew if I didn't have nothing else, I had Him.
Yeah.
So I just held on to that. And it grew. I didn't understand it, but I kept reading it.
Yeah.
And it made me feel good. I wanted to commit suicide because I knew before the age of 12, if I died as a child, I would go straight to heaven. So we lived on Nass Road 1. And I stood on side of Nass Road 1, and I said, here come a car. I'm finna run out there, and I'm going to heaven. And my feet never would move. Then I said, I kept doing 3 cars, maybe 4 cars. I kept trying to do it, and I could never move. And then when nothing was there, I said, let me see if I can run across this street. And I ran across the street.
This is news to us.
Right? Nah, for real. If y'all ain't looking at our disbelief.
And that's when I had an encounter with God. That's when I knew He was real. And I asked him, I said, "Oh, this." I still didn't understand like I understand now.
Yeah.
But if anybody look back in their life, all these experiences that God has shown Himself, we just don't realize.
Yeah.
But He's been there. And some of His greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. Because everything you want ain't good for you.
Yeah. And that's interesting that you say that, because I think I lost a thought earlier, but it's back now. Is that when I got older, realizing that y'all are just people too, you know? Yeah. And for me, Mom was like, when we were younger, I ain't gonna lie to you. I tell her this all the time. I knew we was gonna Child Protective Services, not because she was beating us, but she would just be out in public popping off, and I'm like, you can't be out here cussing these people out at the schoolhouse like that. But she was just like a firecracker, and then you was just like in the pocket. Like my dad would just be like, "Girl," it was just like so chill. Like if you want, and then like if we got a whooping, he'd be like, "Nah, I don't want to whoop you." Like he'd come in there and sit on the bed with you, explain why he whooped you. You know, and I used to be like, I don't want no ice cream.
Right, I want you to get
right,
out.
while Mama at the dinner table, I don't care if you don't eat.
Right. Daddy up there trying to make a meal.
Right, and I used to be like, what is happening? And I think Mama was a little bit more forthcoming with how she was raised, but as we got older, she exposed more of like what she went through. And then sometimes I feel like with you, I was like pulling teeth. I was like, well, how was this? I mean, I didn't know, what was going on in high school.
Well, I prayed to forget my childhood.
Yeah.
God took it away. A lot of our stuff I don't remember that other kids remember. And while if I spanked you, I don't
You ain't spanked us, you whooped
well, yeah, I wasn't spanking. But the part of coming in there telling you why I whooped you is accountability. Because I was sitting down.
Yeah.
You was the reason I'm up, and you the reason you got a spanking.
Yeah.
And I would get whooped because my mom had a bad day. I ain't never want y'all to think, oh, this coming from a bad day perspective.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually getting whooped because I
did something. Yeah.
Right.
So that's why I would come back and let you know. And this squash, I'm through with it.
Yeah.
You can go suck them tears up.
Right. But
she was
right. Nah, baby, I'm crying. 30 days, 30 nights. We are not friends. She at the
I took the ice cream.
2 seconds like right. She at McDonald's.
Right. I would be back there.
Excited. But I think when you think about it, realizing that you had a childhood, y'all had parents, y'all had a life to experience, not just Destiny and I are here, and this is just how you want to treat us. But one thing I have always said is that I am blessed because you and Mama, neither one of y'all had a good upbringing, or had an example, but yet we're here and beating the odds of we both went to college, we didn't have kids at a young, like we had, even those at moments y'all wasn't together, we had stability. At some points, me and you weren't talking, but something had happened, and I literally was like, "I'll call my daddy." They was like,
every time
and they was like, "Don't you?" Right? And they was like, "You don't even talk to him." But if I call him and tell him I'm my side, he opened up the door.
I got a daddy.
Don't play with me. Right. I got one,
and I know where he lives, and I got his number.
Exactly. And so things like that always made me feel good, even in moments if I felt bad, because I would look at other people, even like certain family members, and just be like, we could have been raised like, we could have been getting whooped because you was upset about something. We could have, been locked in closets or didn't keep a clean house, living with roaches because y'all was exposed to that. But even without having the idea of I guess you knew what not to do because y'all didn't want that anymore. But I feel like a lot of people succumb, or they blame their childhoods, and then once you have kids, for whatever reasons, you put it on them, like now you're the problem. And because you couldn't take it out on whoever made you feel bad, you taking it out on me. And I thank y'all for not taking stuff out on us.
Well, you have to mature to a point that where I'm making these decisions now. My daddy gone. He been gone. That was there. My mama was there, but never interacted with my grandmother. I saw more as a parent.
Yeah.
But if I call myself an adult, at what time am I going to act like an adult?
Yeah.
So passing the blame or giving the blame to somebody else, but you making the bad decision is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, that's where I guess passing the buck come from. So all the bad things, somebody else's fault, but all the good things are yours.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
how that work. Yeah. Once you become an adult, then you have to take accountability. Yeah, I had a bad childhood, but so did somebody else.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm, like she said, being grateful that two people who came from not the best childhood
Chaos,
were able to come together and give us a better life. Like,
because I read about generational curses, so I wouldn't let y'all go around my people because I didn't get nothing from them. But what they gonna give y'all if they couldn't give it to me? Mm-hmm. So I said, in order for something to change, I say it's somebody got to want it to change.
Yeah.
And then a little bit. So we give y'all a little bit more than what we had. Y'all give y'all kids a little bit more than what y'all had. They kids a little bit more than they had.
Yeah.
So it just continues to go. Like somebody say, you retired and you back working? I say the Bible say a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And I see my children's children.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So working don't really bother me.
Yeah.
So, you know, but we need to start enjoying ourselves more.
yeah,
But
I do.
Yeah.
we have to get to the point to where I want my children's children to be blessed.
Yeah.
They'll never meet me, but they'll look at that picture and they say, it started him.
Yeah. Cause you a sucker for breathing. Breathing. You know,
he was at the they was at the house the other day. Me and Daddy and Mama in the kitchen talking, and Mama cooking. We talking at the table. Breland upstairs. She go, Pop, and he was like, what? She was like, come here, come upstairs. And then he goes, like, I said, he, act like he gonna go. I said, I don't know why you doing all that, because you know you finna go upstairs. She ain't say why. She just said, come here.
I said, let that be men Destiny.
I said, you a sucker.
Listen, I always ask him, I be like, you got the circulation in your finger? He be like this, because she wrapped around that thing so tight. I say, what is do you know what's happening to you?
She can do whatever. No wrong. That breathing.
Right, until she was crying the other day. He about to go back to 90, Daryl.
Yeah. So she's scratching. She's looking for an old D. She about to find him.
You asked for it.
You know, I ain't like all that crying for no reason. What are you crying for?
Yes.
Destiny. What is you doing? I don't know. I'm going to whoop you anyway.
Until you find out.
If you doing something, you don't know what you doing, and you doing it.
That part.
Knowing she know what she was doing.
Yeah.
They ain't want to tell me.
It's in my business. Mind your business.
What business?
You too young to have your own business.
No, for real.
Who door I took off? Somebody talking about why they door don't have a lock.
You took my lock off my door?
Took the door off the hinges.
Oh!
No,
That wasn't me. That was probably her.
I think that was me when we lived in
Mainland.
Yeah,
I know.
I think Mama made me mad, and I slammed the door. Or at least I said I didn't. She say I did. I did not.
She did.
Yeah,
And
you had the tendency to be loud. You was putting dishes in the dishwasher. I said, let me hear one more dish.
She shadowed.
My God.
Without saying it.
Right? Because this is how I feel. I can't say it because I want my lips.
Right.
But
Always be the parent.
yeah.
I always keep my position. You got enough friends. You know,
We can joke all day, but
Yeah.
it's a line that
It's
I know.
a line.
Like,
Yeah.
even to this day, as adults, it's just certain things I'm still not going to do, being that you're my dad and I'm your child. You know, so I was thinking, like you said, coming from a Christian perspective, I'm to honor my mother and my father. Even if you were out here doing wrong by me, I don't get to say, oh, I don't hate him and I'm going to treat him like this and this and that.
But the flip side to that, everybody here honored our mother and father. But God is so just that you have to give them kids something to honor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you keep reading, it says you don't need to provoke them kids.
You don't. Everybody got a part.
Yeah.
And God outlined it for you. So when people like to throw up, you supposed to be honoring me, you should be honorable first.
Yeah.
And then that comes along.
Mm-hmm.
When you do what's outlined, it just comes along.
Yeah.
If you go buy a cake and you follow the instructions, you're going to have the cake that's whatever it is, you follow the recipe.
Yeah.
The Bible is a book of love and instructions, but it ain't a book of interpretations.
Yeah.
God say my word goes out and it will not return unto me void. So we assume that if we see it some way, it ain't gonna return to us void. He never said your word.
Yeah.
Right. He said, I said
He
what I
said
said.
my word.
Yeah.
And we assume we can interpret his word how we want to, and we still gonna get God the results. And that ain't how that works.
No.
I was gonna point out too, like while we're talking on a Christian perspective and of marriage, relationships, whatever the case may be, because I feel like, well, I know that you were the one, like the parent that introduced us to like God, church, all these things. So like hearing that you walked around with what you thought was the full Bible, but knowing that as a kid you had a calling on your life, right? So despite the things that you had been through, all those things, you had some type of guidance. You may have not noticed it then as a kid, but you had some type of guidance to point you in the right direction. So, and then we were able to reap the benefits of those things that you learned. And I just feel like as a woman in a marriage now building a marriage and eventually a family off of God, I feel like that's the most important thing that you can have, because even despite like your and mama's differences, y'all split up X, Y, and Z, even when y'all was split up, there'll be, can't even count on my hands. Mama just be like, I call Daryl. Like it was always daddy this, daddy that. It was we were always a family. Yeah. And I just feel like that was our foundation. Like we would go to church, we would pray, we would do all the things. I remember being a kid and be like, you always play church gospel music in the car, and I'm like, I'm crying and I don't know why. And it's just like all those things, but just knowing that without yes, I could have grew up to have my own relationship with God had you not done that for us, but that being the foundation of our family in general not only helped us, but helped you and mama's marriage as well. Because this stuff ain't easy. I have to remember sometimes. The Lord gonna be mad if I say that to Corey.
No, for real. No, for real. Sometimes I'd be like, dang it, I said it.
Before I gotta go repent, let me get out this man.
Right? No, for real. And that is interesting, because I was like, we never really, like, we went to church, but I wouldn't say like we grew, like, I remember churches, but I wouldn't say like we had a pastor. We just went here and we, did that. But it is very interesting considering that I don't recall you ever saying you grew up in the church or mama. But yet here you did. Okay. Did Big Mama take you or?
No, my dad's one.
Oh, okay. Wow. But we just learning so much about that.
What else you got hidden under there?
Right, because what else? No, for real. Because if this the only way we gonna be able to get the info.
Because you are very, like you said, you pray for things to like be taken away from your memory. It's like you feel like, what's the point of bringing up the past when we have right now? All we can do is move forward. But we feel like sometimes it's important to talk about the things of the past so we can understand you now.
You know what made me think of that? Because I asked for my memory back too. Some crimes I ain't even saw till they go back and dig up their body. Yeah. So the stuff I wanted buried, I need some of that back. So I asked God to give me some of that back. Yeah. Well, I asked for all of it back, but I probably ain't gonna get all of it because he answered when I was in my wits' end, needing to forget. Yeah. But I do remember a lot of stuff, and I'm more apt to share it now. Yeah. Yeah. Because at some point I used to say, I already told you a little stuff. Now you ain't did real good with that, so I ain't getting you. Yeah. Right. You ain't did good with the little information. I can't bombard you with a whole bunch. And then everybody, the devil is an accuser of your past. And most people don't know they do it too. You know, I could be we all are ex something. Yeah. My something could be worse than yours, but you got something. But most people, we tend to see other people's issues more than we see our own. Yeah. And that's why I couldn't keep giving people this information. And then they wouldn't see me, they'd just see me, my past. Yeah. And they didn't know what to do with it, so I just would keep stuff to myself.
Yeah. I think sometimes because I feel like regardless of if you remember or told, some things based on what you've done can just be passed down to your kids. Yeah. And I always was told, Mama was said all the time, acting like your daddy should have named you Daryl Nisha, bro. Cause that is ghetto. That is crazy. Cause why would you do that? But I think I used to wonder so much about you because she said I act like you. And I think when you and I were in our biggest rift, she said you act more like him now that you upset with him. And I was just like, well, what is it that I'm doing? And like, why do I do it? And why is this a trigger? You know, and then, and she, I don't think necessarily knew how to answer it. She just would always be like, yeah, I can like your daddy. You don't need to do that because it wasn't good when he did it. He trying to fix it. But how do I fix something that neither one of us is talking about? You just telling me that I'm wrong. Yeah. You know?
She did that to me. You acting like me. That I'm going to tell you that didn't work out for me. Okay, but what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Because we need to fix it. And so I feel like even I remember a few years, once I moved back, I remember asking you, how was your childhood? And that was the first time you told me, well, Brittany, I prayed most of that away. And I was like, I don't remember nothing. Because I'd be like, man, Katrina used to be down at the snow cone place. We jumping in through windows, you know. Yeah. And so to me, I was like, not even the good parts. And I think it wasn't that I wanted to bring up necessarily anything bad or you to, you know, indulge in like some deep dark secret or, you know, that we ain't familiar with or something. But I just feel like sometimes when I understand you, it helps me understand why I may be doing something. Yeah. But for the most part too, I sometimes, Destiny and I have talked about this, where I'm learning to try to, because I be like, I feel like other people be hearing the Lord and I be over here like, is that me talking to myself in a man's voice, or is this you know? And so I get lost sometimes, and I feel like because you are a little bit more grounded in understanding the Bible, I feel it's a safer place to talk to you than it is for me to go talk to my friends, you know, because I know you're going to give me not what you think I need, but what the Bible says. And then like, this is what it is. Exactly. And then, you know, this is what you've been through, Brittany, and I understand X, Y, and Z. And it kind of guide me versus other people just being like, let's pop off. And I'd be like, you know what? Because that's how I felt. Right. Yeah. Popping off sounds great to me.
There has been plenty of times in my life too where I'll be going through something or thinking about doing something, I don't know, whatever the case may be in that moment. And especially, I remember a lot of it happening when I lived out of the state by myself. And so I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. And Daddy will call, talking about that. Because, you know, Daddy will call randomly, and he don't just ease into the conversation. Yeah, I was reading this book and then I was just talking about whatever he wanted to talk about
for 30 minutes,
just random. And so a lot of the times when those things, I was going through certain things, you literally will call right when like I needed somebody to tell me something. So like you said, you're trying to hear from God and things like that. Is that me? Is it not? I feel like a lot of the times, that's why I said being grounded and having God as the foundation of your family is so important, because I used to say, I think God, that my daddy is like my guardian angel or something, because like God always sent him right when I needed him. I remember when I lived with y'all a few years ago, and I was like going something to me and my friend, and I was like, it was on my heart to say something to them. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna say what it was, but I was like, I ain't got the words to say that. I don't want to ruffle no feathers, X, Y, and Z. I'm on the phone with that person though, and I'm like fighting this urge to say it, not to say it. And I said, oh, wait, hold on, my daddy calling. Why did he say exactly what was on my heart to say to that person on the phone? Me and Daddy was on the phone so long, that person ended up hanging up. I had to call him back. But I'm saying, like, in those moments, I really just be like,
yeah.
That is important. I better have a relationship with the Lord.
Nah, for real.
And it's just really, I'm just grateful to have like parents that I can depend on.
Yeah.
Even if we don't know exactly why you do things, like as I get older as an adult, I do, like you say. I told you this the other day. Daddy do this thing, and I just look at him and I be like, that's where I get that from.
Yeah.
And I just be like, why do I do that? And then I'll see you do it, and I just be like, yep, there it is.
Yeah.
And so, regardless of your upbringing or regardless of the mistakes you and Mama may have made, in regard, not even just your marriage, because at this point, I don't think the episode is about marriage. I think the episode is more so about I don't know.
Just bettering yourself in any relationship.
Yeah. And I just feel like all those things work together for our good, and now we're in a much better place. Because I remember Mama was saying something the other day or a few weeks ago about wanting X, Y, and Z from someone else and not getting it from those people. And I said, I think you were in the bathroom, but I went to y'all room and she was laying down. I said, I just felt the need to tell you, I'm not gonna cry.
We're gonna start counting episodes.
I know.
All your relationships are hard on. We oldest daughter, youngest daughter, but all relationships are like this. And we focus on this. Brielle could be that, Brion's there. But all these relationships, we want to fix.
Yeah.
But you got one vertical relationship. Mm-hmm. If you fix that one, he'll fix
everything is in between.
But I was just mentioning to Mama how, like I said, like we've said many times that y'all did split up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I think it's great that God gave us another chance to like get this horizontal relationship together.
Yeah.
For a while.
Once that got fixed, we started mending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, despite we want X, Y, and Z from everybody else, but at the end of the day, it's nice to know that we have.
Yeah, it is nice because I feel like we never really gave you, or maybe I never mentioned like giving you your flowers because at the time, I think we was all growing. And I remember you telling me one time like, your mama could do no wrong. She could do anything. You'll believe anything she saying. He was high. And I was on the phone like, boy, please, like, she gonna get me up in the Pontiac. And I just couldn't process it. But I think because when you're a kid, you look at who's there and who's not. And then, not also thinking like, oh, I could go live with my daddy. But at one point when I was in high school, I lived with you, and so it was different. But even then, I was still getting upset now. And I was like, why he sent me a pizza with bell peppers? And I was like, do he not? And I was mad. I threw my little Nokia phone. Back then, you could throw your cell phone and the battery pop out. You pop back in, you was good to go. And I just was like, I'm not understanding. But it was just an interesting situation for me because I don't think I ever knew how to process what I was feeling, even though I felt like a daddy's girl. But most of the time, I felt like if a need needed to be catered to, not saying you didn't meet needs because we kept a clean house. If I needed something, I could ask you for it. But I feel like, and maybe it was just a mom instinct, but I just feel like if she would cater to certain things, and I just was like, why won't? So it was more so of that, not that I didn't. Like I loved her more than I loved you. I just always felt like if you felt like something got real tough, you would shove us to the side. And I never like that. I never felt like I couldn't call you, but in certain moments I just was like, why he get to take the time, to get himself together, and and I think, but as we got older, you and I would have more conversations, and then of course I get married, and I'm just like,
I see
it, because sometimes I need to get away, and where am I going? To my mama house, to my daddy house.
But you had to understand the importance of relationships.
Yeah.
Or what it takes for a relationship. And I didn't understand that they ain't gonna just know.
Yeah.
I just assumed, they know that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and I learned the importance of saying I was sorry.
I was just gonna say when I graduated college, there'll be plenty of times, like I said again, it'd be random when he would just go on these rants. We'll just be in the car chilling, and you would just go, I just wanted to tell you that I'm sorry for whatever X, Y, and Z, and I'd just be like, okay. Man, turn the music back on.
Right? Like, he would do that. And I'd be like, when that happened?
He did do that a lot. And
yeah. And it was important. Yeah. It did. Cause then it made me feel like you didn't forget me. Yeah. In the moments that I felt forgotten anyways. Yeah. And, and I don't want anyone to listen to this and be like, well, they just didn't like that. No, always was there. We just, like any relationship. And I think that's what it is too, is that you tend to start trying to put one thing higher than the other, but it's still a relationship. Just because you my dad, like you say, honor thy mother and father, but you need something to be honorable. Yeah. So I just feel like the more I was also able to share what I felt and you was open to receiving that, whether you wanted to say, well, Brittany actually did this, you know, or or not. I feel like we were open to receiving both sides of how the person may have felt in that moment. And I think once we was able to do that and we felt heard, then it was like, okay, we can go here. But then some stuff, like you said, it was like, well, that already happened. I can't change what I've done. And I think when you acknowledge just the fact that you know you done wrong, not that we need to sit in, well, I did it because, you know, it was just like, I know I did wrong, but this is what I'm doing now to be better. And I think once I also could say, okay, well, I don't need to bring all that up. Like you said, I don't have to go and unbury everything. The fact that you are aware of it and then you're making the change for it, I can respect that. And I think once we did that, then now I'm like, I don't leave the house without giving you a hug, you know? And so I'm just always like, I don't want to go any more years feeling like my daddy thinks that he's less than because of anything he has done in the past or anything that I may have said to make him feel like he was less than. So I try in the best ways that I know, and we working on giving each other hugs, telling each other how we feel, to do that.
Most people don't know we want to be so silent, or we care so much about what people think that transparency go a long way.
Yeah.
And being vulnerable, you know, why we have these emotions that we hide.
Yeah.
And you're tough, you gotta be tough all the time. And then when I learned how to like open up, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But it's like, man,
trust me, I know.
This stuff
I'm one and the same with you. We here. Because I still deal with, I mean, we talk about it all the time, how I'm just like, I cut somebody off, you know? Yeah. And a lot of it was more so at the time when when I felt like you and I weren't close. Because I used to be like, if I don't talk to my daddy, I dang sure ain't got to talk. You know, and I know him, you know, like I know his, and you know, I'd be like, I know his color, I know this, I know he like trucks, you know? So it's not like I was like, if I see his face, that's my dad. I'm like, I know my dad, you know? And so I used to cut a lot of, like, it was nothing. I used to just feel like if I wasn't talking to you, nothing else matters. Yeah, nothing. I can cut y'all. If we ain't talking, I can definitely cut everybody else off. And it wasn't the healthiest thing because we probably could have easily just picked up the phone and said, like, you know, this is what it is. But I think it was a good thing. Even though it felt bad, it was a good thing for me because once we were able to get to our place, I feel like it was a place of where we could hear each other. I think if we would have done it sooner, I'd have been like, you know, because you thinking I'm in college now. I'm thinking, what else he gonna teach me? I'm here now.
Even despite all of that, like, because Mama was with somebody else, and I ain't like that man. And my thing is, even within all of that, it was just like he would get mad because I'd be like, I could call that. I never let nobody know. Like you saying, I may not be talking to my daddy, but I would never let an opportunity pass for them to let them know I got a daddy.
Right, like, because I'm calling them.
So it's just, I feel like even before all those things happened within the family, I feel like it was, you've done enough to have, like, I keep going back to
leave an imprint.
Yeah, despite us not talking every single day, end of the day, 549, whatever your number was, I'm gonna call him up and he's gonna answer.
And if he don't, it better be important.
Exactly.
Not more important than me calling though.
He'll text back, whatever the case may be. It was never like a void that, I mean, it was a void, but not in the sense where it was like, I don't have a relationship. I don't know.
Chasm, but it was a bridge.
It's
a gap between us, but it's also a bridge there.
I remember Corey said, because a lot of people, if you don't know us personally, you wouldn't, a lot of people don't know that y'all broke up. I had some, like, one of my friends, I saw her, she was saying that, her mom and daddy been together since they came out the womb, feel like. Like, a lot of people just feel like we just always been a family. And I remember Corey saying to me, he was like, you wouldn't, like, looking at y'all now, you wouldn't have thought that y'all went through that. But even back then, when it happened and y'all did get back together, it didn't feel like we had to rebuild ourselves from the ground up. It's kind of like we just picked up where we lost it.
Yeah, I feel like each time we were getting better at understanding what made the separation occur in the first place. Yeah. But also, for me, realizing, like, as a child, one thing I think y'all both did is that I never felt like if y'all separated, I felt like I was the problem. You know how some kids be like, my opinion, like they losing all they marbles. I never felt like we were the issue. Yeah. I always felt like y'all are growing through something. And then as I watched y'all in other marriages and then even watching y'all come back, it was still interesting because sometimes you would respond to something. I'd be like, he talking? What? And then mama be quiet. I'd be like, well, you ain't got nothing to say. And y'all are like throwing me off in the best way possible because
be the opposite.
I know. And so it was, and then when you were saying something, it's not like you were popping off. It was just like you just had a stronger presence. Yeah. And in a space that you usually would more quieter in. Like there's certain aspects of my life that I'm like, oh, my dad is loud all day, every day in these areas. And then in others, I was just like, he may show up to the game. Right. He gonna be in the corner. He gonna leave as soon as the buzzer go home. You know, and then I just feel like now you just kind of see that shift. You know, like y'all want to know when Brielle games. Y'all, you know, everybody show up. You know, we bought Brielle her first Bible. Like we're all in it together. And like you say, it's a village. But now I really feel like we're legit a village, and we want to help. And even when things are going wrong, y'all don't come, you know, if I speak about my marriage or something that I feel like we're struggling with, no one is like, well, just go ahead and leave. Because, you know, back in the day, you know, we went through and we, you know, and it's always like, well, Brittany, this is going to happen. So did you ask him this? Or did y'all deal with this? Well, me and your mama went through X, Y, and Z. This is what we did, you know, and it's never like y'all telling us to do exactly that blueprint. But your favorite saying is nothing new is under the sun, you know. And so I always try to slow myself down and put God in the center of it, because that's something you also taught us to do. So I feel like that's always been important regardless of my relationship, because even with Destiny, we was always brought up like other people legit didn't matter. They'd be like, if anybody die, go find your sister. Right. But it's not an apocalypse, is it?
6 years apart, I'm all at the basketball games like, who we don't like? Oh.
And I was ready. I'd be ready to fight somebody. They talking about you beat the boy up in the. Listen, he wouldn't give her bike back.
She picked the boy bike up and threw it across the field.
Good.
All it took was his mama to come outside and say, "I'm calling the cops. We gotta go." Mama got home. She talking about, what are y'all doing inside? Nothing. We just. And so I feel like that we are, and I think in the episode we did with Mom, we was saying how like y'all have literally started us to be like what we are today, because we can't say, oh, my aunt came and gave me Chick-fil-A at school, but Brielle can't. I didn't have a grandpa, but listen, Breland and her pop like locked in. And so I just love to see all of those things kind of come full circle versus like, you know, our good and our bad times, but just kind of seeing us wanting to work. Like you say, it doesn't matter. You're going to work at your marriage with mama to keep that going, but we're working on our relationships all the time, and then the grandkids and everybody else. So I think it's just beautiful to kind of see everything, marriage, you know, daughter, father relationships, grandkids, you know, even son-in-law, like learning all those dynamics and wanting to work at it, and then still, you know, be a whole family, still keeping God at the center. And I think
God
that's
has
great.
A purpose and a will for our life.
Yeah.
We just want to walk outside of it, but we still want it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it better be
That's like
his.
saying I want groceries, but I ain't finna go get them. They not coming to you.
Right.
I mean, HEB do a delivery, though. No, I'm just kidding. He know I do a pickup.
So, based on the conversation, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't know what we gonna say we done with. What y'all think?
We gonna come back next fall.
Next fall. Not 2020. I think based on everything we kind of talked about, I think the bottom line is you just done leaning on your own understanding. You know, whether you felt like somebody wronged you or they did wrong, like realize that people are people, and that we've all been through something, and don't be afraid to have a conversation. So I think I'll say for myself, I think I'll be done with feeling like I can't come to you and talk to you about anything. And even if that's not the time that you want to talk about it, being okay with tabling it until we both can come and hear each other, you know, and be able to speak to each other respectfully. I think like that's the biggest thing that I want to continue. Yeah. We working on it, but I'm gonna be done with just feeling like, oh, I can't talk to you because you my dad, or we can't discuss a certain topic.
I always want to instill in y'all self-worth. You are somebody.
Yeah.
Regardless. And if you know your self-worth, you don't have to look for nobody to give you worth.
Yeah.
Because I have worth.
Right.
And when y'all got married, that man ain't your better half. Y'all are two halves to make a whole.
Yes. Amen.
And that's how it is.
Right. One
I'm
flesh.
blessed to have two good son-in-laws. I'm good.
Yeah. Amen. He looking for DW3 though.
Yeah.
Keep looking. You're done.
Boy, you already know.
Oh, Lord.
Uh-oh, you see, that's a yes.
No.
So you hear your dad.
On the
Yeah. If you don't hear that one, hear this one. Yeah.
Ain't
Your
no
dad is
Daryl.
dead.
Ain't no Daryl, baby.
Your daddy's dead.
I'm sorry. No, my daddy's dead. I'm sorry. We are not doing no Daryl.
You better listen to your Sky Daddy.
Let it go.
We ain't heard that till we got on that.
I took it as a no. But yeah, I don't know what I could necessarily say I'm done with, but just, I guess just standing on where we are now and continuously building and not, I already let go of the past. The past is the past.
Yeah.
And just learning and growing as who we are right now and understanding, even as my father, my sister, my mama, whatever the case may be, we are all just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So being done with feeling like if somebody don't do it the way that I feel they should do it, then that is, I never feel like it's wrong. Oh, the camera blinking, but we gonna wrap this up. So we're done with that. Cause I'm not editing no. This is one video y'all gonna see real time. So yeah, this is a great episode. Thank you, Dad, for coming on our podcast. And we're gonna see y'all at the same time next week. Peace. My glasses look like shades, or am I tripping?
No, you look good.
I'm talking about on the camera, girl.
No, you look good on camera too.
Okay, we gotta take a picture.
Take a picture.
Yeah.
Oh, look, boom. I don't gotta edit it out. I just gotta find the coming up part, because I'm just on, I'm not editing it, because nothing bad happened.